Welcome to the second year chemistry labs. My name is Greg Waugh and I'm the second year lab director. The second year chemistry labs are on level 5 of the chemistry building, at the same end of the corridor as the first year labs. This introductory video will tell you a bit about how these labs will run. You must watch this video and answer the short quiz about what you've seen before you can access other important parts of this Blackboard site. As part of this lab course, you must attend 8 lab sessions in weeks 1 to 8. Labs run from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Make sure that you turn up ready to start at 1 p.m. You'll be rotating through 5 different experiments in this lab course. 2 experiments will run for 1 week and 3 will run for 2 weeks. The 2-week experiments may not be held in consecutive weeks. All students will complete experiment 1 in week 1. You will then rotate through the other experiments according to your group. Your timetable tells you which group you're in. The lab classes are full, so we cannot allow students to swap between days or catch up on missed labs. It's therefore essential that you attend the day for which you've been timetabled. If you absolutely must change lab days for 1 week, you must contact me at least a week in advance to try to organise this swap. If you just turn up at the lab, you won't be allowed in. Make sure you familiarise yourself with the lab program folder on Blackboard, as it contains all the essential information you'll need for this course, including pre-work quizzes, the folder for report submission, and other important information like appendices on lab technique. This year, you're expected to be able to use ChemSketch or a similar structure drawing program, and Excel or a similar spreadsheet and graphing program. Information about these can be found in the training folder. This contains a link to video tutorials on ChemSketch and Marvin Sketch and the enrolment page for the Excel learning site. You should try to do this training as soon as you can. First thing you must do as soon as you can is pick up a lab manual for your unit of study, CHEM2401, CHEM2911 or CHEM2915 from the level 5 service room. Please read through this thoroughly, as it contains all the information you need about these labs. Before you come to class each week, you must complete the online pre-work for the experiment you'll be doing. This is a very easy quiz, just 5 to 10 mostly multiple choice questions, and many of the answers can be found in the lab manual. You can attempt this quiz as many times as you like, but you must get 100% in order to be admitted to the lab, so don't leave it till the last minute. This will then contribute 10% of your marks for each lab. Pre-work is essential. It's designed to make you read the lab before you come and to cover any safety issues. If you haven't done the pre-work, you won't be allowed into the lab, and this means you'll get a mark of 0 for that week. The pre-work is all in a folder in this Blackboard site, but you won't be able to access it until you've completed the short quiz below this video. Experiments can often take a full 4-hour lab session, so it's essential to make sure that you've read the lab manual and planned for your experiment before you come to class. Most experiments will be performed individually, but for a couple, you'll be working in groups of 2 or 3. In addition, for 2 of the labs, you'll pool your data at the end and use the combined data to write your report. You'll be given a lab notebook that looks like this. You must record all your data in the notebook, including pasting result sheets or printed spectra, and write down anything that's important. If you want to query a mark or ask a question, you must bring your notebook with you so that we can check what you actually did in lab. In your first lab, you'll be given a blue card. This card will show your group and your individual timetable, and it will also contain spots for the demonstrators or technicians to sign so that you can be issued with chemicals in the lab or to acknowledge that you've handed in a sample. Paste this inside the front cover of your lab book. If you completed chemistry labs last semester and you still have your lab notebook, please continue to use it. This will save us from wasting half-filled notebooks. There are also lots of people to help you in labs. Each day there will be 5 demonstrators, 1 with each group, plus an academic supervisor. Shane and Carlo at the service room will also be able to help you. Before you start each lab, a demonstrator will give a brief introductory talk. It's essential that you arrive at the lab by 1 p.m. so you don't miss this talk. From time to time, the demonstrators may also gather up the group to go over some aspect of the experiment or data analysis. You must also make sure you finish in plenty of time to clean up and leave at 5. The lab doors shut and lock at 5 p.m, so you must be out by then. You must clean up your lab space before you leave and leave it looking the same as when you came in. Students the next day will be using the same equipment and glassware as you, so you need to make sure that things are neat and tidy for the next lot of students. If you leave without cleaning up, you may be penalised 10% of your mark. Overall, 50% of the marks for this lab course come from the results you obtain, 40% from your lab report or other presentation, and 10% comes from the pre-work. More information about the breakdown of marks can be found in the lab manual. The results mark will be based on your performance in the lab, your yield or product quality, or the accuracy of your measurement. The report mark will be based on how you write and present the report and consider the discussion questions. Your report is submitted, marked, and feedback returned to you on Blackboard through Turnitin. You must view a short video on report submission and complete the associated quiz before you can submit any reports. There's lots of information about how to write reports in the lab manual and on Blackboard, so make sure you consult it. During the first week of lab, your demonstrator will also provide some training about lab reports, and your first short report is directly related only to these aspects. The Blackboard site also has a short video like this one and an associated quiz to help you prepare your laboratory reports. It's essential that you think about and work safely whenever you're in the lab. You must be wearing closed shoes, safety glasses, a lab coat, and have long hair tied back at all times. Whenever you step out of the lab, even if it's just to go to the toilet, you must take off your lab coat. You're not allowed to wear a lab coat anywhere in the common areas of the building, and as usual, there should be no eating or drinking in the laboratory. You're also not permitted to use your mobile phones while you're in the lab. If you absolutely must take a call, please step outside. The only exception to this rule is that you may use your camera to photograph some results for your report, such as your TLC plates in Experiment 5. There's a safety map in the lab manual which will help you identify all important safety features. You must complete this map and have it signed by a demonstrator when you first come to lab and before starting any experimental work. One aspect of safety that we need to keep track of is who is in the lab at all times in case of an evacuation. We're doing this by having a sign-in, sign-out computer where you can scan your student card each time you walk in or out of the lab. You must do this even if you're going out to the toilet or to have a drink of water. The computer will record your attendance in the lab, but we will not record any further information. We are only collecting this information for safety. If you don't have your student card with you, you can type in your SID. That's it for now. You can look forward to coming to lab and doing some fun experiments this semester. Right now, make sure you do the quiz just below this video, and remember to pick up your lab manual and do your pre-work before you come to your first class. Don't forget to watch the video and complete the quiz on report submission before you're ready to complete your first report.